Of the Lord. People of God, in life we will face many trials, some being easier to face and some not so much. And while I would love to stand here and tell you that these trials of life can be avoided, I'm here to tell you that these trials cannot be avoided, simply because in this life we will have our ups and downs. In this life we will face many trials and different tests in our life. And sometimes, young people, sometimes people of God, we will find ourselves facing trials that seem to drive us crazy. Trials that will push our faith to the extreme and test our loyalty like our very life depends on it. We will sometimes find ourselves in trials that only God Himself can deliver us from. We will find ourselves in trials that if God does not take His hand and pull us out of that trial, we don't think we will be able to make it. It's important that we understand that even in these trials that we may face, beloved brothers and sisters, that our God is able to bring us out of them. And even if He doesn't, we will not make it out. Even if God does not bring us out of this thing, we feel as though He will not bring us out. But I'm here to tell you that He is able. Let's look at the text and we're going to rush on out of here. We find Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego facing King Nebuchadnezzar. But before we get there, we have to understand how did we get to this moment in time where they're facing the king. In the previous chapter, in Daniel chapter 2, Daniel and his friends was in a life or death situation. The king was an angry and furious king because after having a dream and calling the Chaldeans to interpret the dream, they told him that no one on earth, king, could interpret your dream. The king was angry and he commanded all of the wise men of Babylon now to be destroyed. But word got back to Daniel, and Daniel asked the king for a little bit more time. You can imagine Daniel being in this life or death situation, having to go against this strong and angry king and tell him, I just need a little bit more time. And I know some of you, I've never experienced it, but I heard many people talk about there came times in life where times got hard and you had to go to the bill collector, you had to go to the rent office and just tell them, I just need a little bit more time. I need some time to get some things in order. I need some time to work a little bit of things out. So Daniel was now in this moment. He was in this moment where he was facing this angry and furious king, asking this king who is all powerful and almighty just for a little bit more time. Can you imagine being a state and time in your life where you just need a little bit more time? You're begging and pleading for mercy and asking God, if you be God, I just need a little bit more time. God, I just need a little bit more time to get some stuff in order. God, I'm trying my very best to be right. God, I'm trying my very best to do right by you, but God, I just need a little bit more time. I just need a little bit more time. It was after, beloved brothers and sisters, that Daniel would have sought God, that God gave him revelation in the night season. It was in this moment that while interpreting the king's vision, Daniel stated that Nebuchadnezzar was king of kings and he saw a great image of gold and that he was that head. It's safe to say that King Nebuchadnezzar took that seriously. Now we find ourselves in Daniel chapter 3, and King Nebuchadnezzar made a golden image. And then he gathered all of the people who had high positions in the land. And when the people came present, when everybody had made their way to the golden image, King Nebuchadnezzar ordered the band to play music. And when they played the music, everyone that heard the music had to bow down to the golden image. And everyone at the sound of this music worshiped the image except these three men of Judah, who we know by their Babylonian names given to them by the name of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or like we like to call them, the three Hebrew boys. One must understand, and we'll get back to our text, one must understand that their original names were Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. It was these three men that Daniel made the king to know. It was after which that Daniel asked the king for more time. He went back to his brothers. He went back to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, and he asked them that they would stand with him in prayer because they needed, amen, something from God. Life and death, amen, was on their hands. And if they did not get an answer from God, this king was getting ready to kill them. And after which God had interpreted the dream, after God gave them revelation and made good with the king now elevated them to high offices in Babylon. And after God answered their prayer, they became, and they was over the affairs of Babylon. Now these men who are powerful, now these men who have a mighty position, now these men who amen, have heard from God, now these men who the king really loved and adored, they gonna stand before this king while everybody else is bowing. These three men decide to not bow. So the king asked them, was it true that you wouldn't bow? And before giving them a chance to answer, he said, whenever you are ready at the sound of the music to bow, but if not, you will be thrown in the fire. These three men of Judah was at a point where they had to decide whether they were going to bow or stand and keep their faith in God. And if I be a man of God, I want you to understand, COP, that there will come a time in this life where your loyalty will be tested. There will come a time in your life where you have to decide, am I going to disown my God who I serve because of the pressures of life, or am I going to remain loyal? Am I going to throw in the towel and disrespect my God and believe in the faith of others, or am I going to stand like a man and or a woman and say, my God is able to deliver me? Y'all don't hear me in this church. There will come a point of time where you have to stand and be the man of God you preach about, the woman of God you teach about, the woman of God you pray about, and say, I will not bow. Somebody look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I will not bow. I will not bow. There will come a time where your loyalty will be tested. So now standing before this king, they answered him and said, O king, if it be so, our God whom we serve is able to rescue us from the furnace of blazing fire. Then hear this, he says, and he will rescue us from your hand, O king. But even if he doesn't, let it be known to you, O king, that we are not going to serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. I feel like preaching. You ought to look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I don't care what life throw at me. I don't care what trials come in my life. I will not bow. I know it's hard. I know it's rough. And I know you feel like giving up. But touch two or three people and tell them, I will not. I will not bow. Let me rush somebody here. Beloved brothers and sisters, after answering this king, in other words, they was telling the king, watch this king, our faith is getting ready to show you the God that we serve. They did not doubt. They did not try to predict the outcome. They just trusted in God. They realized, like many of us need to realize, that it's sometimes better to go through our trials, leaving everything up to God. Because I heard Pastor tell me in the back one time, if I prophesy and say God is going to do that, it's on God. I know, is there anybody here that said, I got enough faith to go through the trial because my God said he'll never leave me, nor will he forsake me. So if my faith is in God, God will come and stand on his promise. So even if he doesn't, I know that the Lord will keep me, and I'm putting my trust in God. Somebody say, I trust God. These men knew that God was about to show this king that he was truly able. Y'all be seated, I'll be there in a second. And if just so happened he doesn't show up and bring them out, they still wouldn't bow and worship no other God. Beloved brothers and sisters, we must follow their example. To have this faith, they would have to have a private victory. And as I was thinking about this text, as I was trying to get myself together, I began to ask the Lord, you got to give me something else, God. I already preached this message before. God, you got to give me something that's going to bless the people of COP. And God began to talk to me. God said, son, I'm going to just tell you this one thing, and you just tell them this one thing. If they don't shout, they just don't shout. But he said to me, he said, son, when you have a private victory, you can make a public declaration that God is able. And I said, God, you got to make that thing make sense. He said, if you look in the previous chapter, these men was in a life and death situation already. They was already facing the king. They were already had to go through some stuff and some trials. But they decided to put their trust in me, son. And when I showed up and gave Daniel the revelation while he was asleep, that showed them that they just got a private victory. So let me give it to you again. When you have a private victory, you can make a public declaration that no matter what I'm facing, no matter what I'm going through, no matter what life throws at me, I will trust God because my God is able. Y'all don't hear me in the church, and I heard about you say like this. Y'all ain't happy enough. Touch another neighbor and say, neighbor, my God is able. My God is able. I feel a little light here now. So the king, angry, and I'm almost done with the story. I gotta tell the story though. So the king, angry and filled with rage, ordered the furnace to be turned. Y'all sit down. We telling the story now. Amen. He ordered the furnace to be turned up 7 times hotter, and a certain strong men tied up these 3 men and threw them into the fire. The furnace was so hot that the men that threw them in the fire died because the fire was so hot. Let me say that again because I got somewhere we gotta go. The furnace was so hot that the men that threw them in the fire died because the fire was so hot. Let me give it to you like this. There will be situations in your life where others will not make it and God will keep you in the midst of it. There will be some things that you will go through. There will be some things you encounter, but they felt like giving up. But since you serve a God who can keep you and deliver you and show you He's able, when they felt like giving up, you stepped up on the scene and said, I got it, because my God is greater than my trial. God is greater than my test. So even if I'm thrown in the fire, God will turn that thing around for my good. Even if the king throw me in this fire, even if I go through these trials, even if I go through criticism, even if I go through being lied on, even if I go through scandals, even if I go through hardships, my God is truly able. God was about to turn this thing all the way around. The king now ordered these 3 men to go in the fire. And when they were thrown in the fire, the king looked in the furnace and said, Minister Holy, he said to his men, didn't we throw 3 men in the furnace? They said, certainly, O king. Then the king says, for I see a 4th man, and it looked like the Son of God. Minister Holy, I'm going to give you this because I love you, brother. If I had to preach this text another time, I'll say something like, when the 4th man shows up. Because when the 4th man shows up, everything will be alright. That when the 4th man shows up, he'll turn everything around. When the 4th man shows up, he'll make everything alright. Would you do me a favor and tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, the 4th man just showed up. Y'all ain't happy in this church. Touch another neighbor and say, neighbor, the 4th man has showed up. And since the 4th man showed up, everything will be alright. Y'all don't hear me in this church. Tell another neighbor, we get out of here, musicians. Tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, the 4th man has showed up. And everything that I was going through just turned around in my favor. Tell another neighbor, y'all. Tell your neighbor, that neighbor, the 4th man showed up. And he has turned everything around. And when they came out of the fire, they came out unharmed. Nothing affect their bodies. And I like the way, y'all, that the King James Version put it. The fire had no power. In other words, because of their faith in God and His ability to keep them, it took the fire, it took the power out of the fire. And one must realize that God only allowed them to be thrown into the fire, not as a punishment, but rather as a tool to build their faith and take them to another level. And never forget, y'all, if you don't take nothing else, y'all, learn this, that the one who created the fire was in the midst of the fire. Y'all don't hear me in this church on the morning, but I show you He's with us, to show you that He's strengthening us, and most importantly, y'all, that He's able to deliver us, and He's able to do me a favor, y'all, for the 5th or 6th time, and tell your neighbor, say neighbor, my God is able. And this, y'all, this is just one kind of evidence to show you that God is able. So I don't know what you're going through in life. I don't know what you're facing in life. But if you ever find yourself in the midst of a fiery trial, head over to Daniel chapter 3 and call on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they'll tell you, Marquis, we were thrown in the fire. Marquis, we was in the midst of a trial. Marquis, we had some hardships. Marquis, we was in a life or death situation. But the God that we serve, He got us in the fire, and He brought us out of the fire. And that's all I came to tell you, that when you're going through, just know that the God is able to bring you out. So do me a favor and grab your neighbor by the hand, shake that neighbor and rock that neighbor, shake that neighbor and rock that neighbor. Y'all ain't shaking and y'all ain't rocking. Shake that neighbor, rock that neighbor, and say neighbor, God is able. Ain't it alright? Ain't it alright? I know it's alright. And He's able to bring me out. I gotta go, y'all. So long, farewell to you, my friend. Goodbye for now. Until we meet again. I just came to tell the cathedral that you may go through. You may feel like giving up. But now, unto Him who is able to keep you from falling, to keep you from giving up, to keep you from going in the tower, and present you always before the presence of His glory with exceeding joy. I got another one for you. Now unto Him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think, according to the power that works in us. Look at your neighbor, y'all. Really look at your neighbor. Look them in the eye and tell your neighbor, say neighbor, He's able. Say neighbor, He'll bring you out. Say neighbor, He'll keep you out. Anybody know God will? Anybody know God will? Anybody know God will? I know He will. Say yeah, I feel my pastor. I hear him in my ear. Say, go ahead, son. So I might as well preach y'all. Do me another favor and turn to your neighbor. Grab him by the hand. Grab him for real. Y'all ain't grabbing nobody. Y'all ain't grabbing nobody. Grab somebody. So we gotta get through this. We gotta get through this together. We gotta get through this as a church. The enemy tried to tear the church down. The enemy tried to divide us. But tell your neighbor, say neighbor, the God that we serve is able. And if I be a man of God, if I be a son of God, He will deliver us. He will deliver us. Say yeah. text says, and as I was studying this text, one verse that stood out to me is that even though they had faith, they were strong enough to say, Shanita, that even if he does not, we still won't pass. And that's all I came to tell somebody. You gotta stand your problems square in the face. You gotta stand depression. You gotta stand suicide. You gotta stand low self-esteem and say, even if he doesn't,